Coming up on Sunday, it's our women's game of the week on ESPN Plus. Laura Leonard and yours truly, Scott Warmann, will have the telecast as the Salukis of Southern Illinois are heading down to Evansville to take on the Purple Aces. Our coverage gets underway at 1 Central Time. Kind enough to join us, staying warm like the rest of us, is Coach Kelly Bond White of the Salukis. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. I'm looking at your team a little bit. I noticed that you guys are doing a great job on the glass, especially on the offensive end. Is that something that you have stressed with your young ladies?
Well, it is something we've stressed. Unfortunately, we're not shooting the ball very well. So there are a lot of extra of those rebounds to go, but we've made an emphasis to, hey, attack it, go get it, be relentless on the boards. And obviously, Gift is somebody that leads the charge with that, whether they're her own or her teammates. So it is a bright spot for us.
Just following up on Gift Uchenna, how, she's one of your international players that you have brought in, and she is averaging a double-double. So really, what makes her so good? And I know she's had experiences internationally, but what makes her so hard to defend, and what makes her so good on the glass?
Just her ability to track it. When we recruited her, we showed her a lot of film of Lania Randall that played for us and kind of almost had similar stats and lead in the Valley in similar categories. And it was something that we saw with her. So it's just an ability of, I talked about it the other day, is Shaka Smart talks with his players. When the ball goes up, a lot of defenders turn to look at the ball. And while they're turning and looking, Gift is moving towards that. So she has the ability to understand. We talk about percentages and where most likely it's going to come off to, and we practice that just with her being relentless and just going to get it. Now, some of that is her athletic ability, where if people aren't boxing out, she's just out jumping them, going to get it. But you see her improving with rebounding out of space, and then just trying to get some of our guards to get in there and help her.
Oh, it mentioned that you do have a big international flair on your team, and I think I heard you say maybe 4 or 5 different languages that are spoken on your team. And so from the beginning of the season, how have you worked with your staff to get everybody on the same page and mesh this team together?
Yeah, and it's not even so much of the international part comes in with the physicality of the game. That's one thing that's taken a little bit longer to translate. The language barrier, English was almost the majority of our Canadian is the only one that didn't speak uh, English as her first language. French was her first. Everybody else pretty much was English was their first language. What they had to learn was just as similar as if we brought in a freshman from Alabama or a JUCO player, Saluki basketball terminology. And us going from things like, hey, when it goes into the pinch post or when we hammer over here, we had to change our language to make them under, hey, flare screen, meaning when we set this, go there, because we were speaking so fast. And thankfully, some of them would pick up and say, I have no idea, what you're talking about. But that just wasn't international. That was all of our young kids on certain things because there's different vernaculars in whatever segment of the country that you're hooping in. So that was the part where we literally made our own terminology page. We have gone back to just the same drills, just trying to build through repetition of them learning what we're asking and what it means to rotate outside of the paint. Hey, you're in help, but you got to get there outside of the paint. And they're like, outside of the paint? Okay, yeah, this area. So that part of it has been challenged. But what you do is you just keep working at it. You get them in for film. You're constantly meeting with them, and we see the progress. It's just not showing up on the board, but we see it in quarters, we see it in halves, and hopefully we keep building where we can say, hey, we saw it in a full game.
Now, I'm going to probably age myself here a little bit, but I can go back doing games during Floor Burn U with Coach Lowry. All that.
Yep.
It's about defense. Now, last year, you, I believe, led the league in steals. You do a really good job of blocks, but tell us about the team defensively.
Man, it's killing me. It's killing me because we had a segment in last week's game where we turned up the juice. We turned up the juice. We got some turnovers, and it's how we want to play. We got consecutive steals, and you missed that. one of our goals in recruiting was to get a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, so we could get more deflections. But when you lose three of the top five steals leaders in the conference, one to graduation, two to the portal, advancing to another level, that hurts you. And so our kids right now are a little reluctant. They're scared of getting beat. And we have to formulate that where they know, hey, your teammate has your back. You can get out there a little bit more because your teammate has your back. Now, what that did, we were averaging 10 to 15 more possessions than our opponent. And that gives us a little bit more to kind of build offensively. And we don't have that right now. We don't have that. I still want to play that way. It just hasn't been as extended as I would like until we get these kids to kind of understand. So we do it now more in spurts and calls versus 40 minutes of hell, which is what I want to play as one of my mentors in Nolan. But it is more like 10 to 15 minutes of purgatory.
Maybe you can extend it on Sunday. I'm looking forward to this as you guys get set to take on Evansville. Again, it's our women's game of the week, 1 Central Time from Evansville on ESPN Plus, and we'll have it for you. Look forward to seeing you then.
Look forward to you guys. Thanks for having me.